All right, Clint from the door two, hanging out with Alyssa and Kai from. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. I know that we have a little bit of a difference of space that we are. You're in the great white north of Canada, and I'm way down here in Phoenix, Arizona. So uh,
Mhm.
temperatures are a little bit different, I'm sure. But like I said, I just want to say, like I said, very, very impressed with the record. I've only heard Void and Decay. I've not heard any of the earlier material. So we're going to kind of focus on that. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about earlier material. But if you could kind of just introduce yourselves and kind of give a little history of the band, that would be great for the people that are watching this.
All right.
Okay. So my name's Alyssa. I'm the vocalist and the rhythm guitarist, and I guess bassist now, and do drum programming, and basically everything for Within Nostalgia.
And I'm Kai. I play lead guitar. I also play bass on the recording, as well as drum programming.
Cool. Awesome. All right, thanks. So that was the first question I was going to ask. Is it looks like before this, you guys were an actual full band. I kind of wanted to see what transpired between the first proper release and this EP that made it just become a duo.
Feel that one?
Mm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're just getting used to this right now.
Okay,
sorry.
can you repeat that question? I'm so sorry.
Sure, sure. So you look like you were a full band beforehand. You were a four piece, and now you're just a duo, correct? So I
Yeah.
was kind of wondering what happened to, did a stylistic change happen between the members of the band, or something happen where now this is just the two of you?
Yeah, so we've been through a lot of different member changes, but through the core of it, it's always been him and I. So there's just always been shit going on. Like shit always happens for whatever reason. There's always different reasons for things, but it's hard to find members that fit well with like our way of thinking and our way of playing and everything. But we just felt it was best just to be the two of us because it was more true to the music and portray it better.
And especially being from North Bay, there's a really shallow musician pool. There's not many people. North Bay only has like 50,000 people alone, let alone extreme metal drummers is a really hard one to find here.
Cool. No, awesome. So, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, as far as the two of you with this record, it's super impressive. So I'm really, really, I love the record a lot. I've been listening to it quite a bit. So I kind of want to ask you a little bit about. So I keep seeing a lot of black metal references, but to me, I hear so much more like ethereal doom and a lot of kind of darker, more death metal, maybe atmospheric elements as well too in it. Do you feel that sometimes just because of the atmosphere of the record that you get that pigeonhole of black metal music where it's not so much the actual style, but people don't know how to describe it any better?
Well, because we as people we listen to a lot of like strictly black metal, but when it comes to creating our own music, it takes a really weird turn because aside from actually listening to black metal, I myself listen to a lot of like doom or even gothic metal, which I apparently has shone through on the album, either subconsciously or not. I don't know, but we never really want to be pigeonholed with that black metal label. Always want something a little more atmospheric to it.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen us as like a black metal band or anything. Like I've never even thought about even being metal. I just kind of like we just kind of do what we
Comes out how it comes out.
yeah, it's like its own weird thing, right?
Cool. No, no, awesome. And that's kind of why I was asking because I hear a lot of different layers and elements, and I'm just gonna go from my listening ears of what I've heard. So, I mean, I hear a lot of like mid-period like Catatonia. I hear a lot of like uh I hear a lot of Sisters of Mercy. I know that's probably a weird reference, but I hear a lot of it, especially Alyssa in your vocal stylings, like especially when the more female vocals in Sisters of Mercy happen. You have that very ethereal kind of off kilter style that she has as well too, which makes it all the more interesting. So like when I did review it, and I know you guys dug the review, like where I said like, stop with all the fucking genres and stuff, because
Yeah.
that's like, like I hate when people label something and there's 9 different layers of music going on, and with nostalgia, that's kind of what I hear. So I kind of wanted to get from the both of you, like, where where does an album like Void and Decay come from? Like, what are the what were the bands you were listening to? Like, what kind of vibe, emotion? Like, where did it all come from to make an album like this?
Well, it's funny because you mentioned Catatonia, and I listen to a lot of Catatonia. Like, they're one of my favorite bands. Because they have that feel, like they have that emotion in their music, right? And anything with like that kind of vein of music, like anything with emotion in it.
And it's also funny you mentioned Sisters of Mercy, especially with Alyssa's vocals, because she's not too big into like the gothic kind of rock side, but that's one of my favorite sort of goth rock bands is definitely Sisters of Mercy.
And I haven't listened to them like that much. Like I don't really know too much of their music, which is funny.
Yeah, I'm the gothic metal rock fan more than anything.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, and that's what I was going to say is it mixes stuff of like Sisters of Mercy. I feel like there's a lot of Moonspell elements in it too, just for the atmosphere that you have. What I really like about this record, and kind of the reason why I was interested in talking to you as well, is the synths play almost a primary role at times within the music. Like when I hear the guitars kind of meld with that. I guess the best way to say is almost like an ethereal electronic kind of vibe, and I really dig it. So I kind of wanted to ask, Kai, as far as like uh, on the lead sides, it definitely does have more of a gothic overtone. So uh, what inspired you to have more of those very original sounding lead tones, where it's not just that dry, raw black metal elements? There's a lot of like mid tempos and melodies in it.
Usually when it comes to like writing my riffs or anything to go over top of any within nostalgia, it's I try not to force anything. It's what comes out in that particular style. And I just happen to really like going back to the goth rock thing. I really like a lot of chorus and reverb and all those like effects you would hear on those old like 80s goth rock albums. I kind of it formed the sound. I took the metal riff and gave it some goth injection.
No, that's awesome. So Alyssa, I'm gonna this is gonna be more directed towards you. So the vocals to me are disturbingly beautiful, and that's the best way I can like say like, if you don't like this kind of music, it's going to take you in a very different place, because it's not a typical vocal style, but it works really well with what you do. I almost like, I know you don't listen to a lot of goth music, but I think you should, because just just simply you have those elements of like, Susie and the Banshees. You have that element of like Sisters of Mercy, where I would call it beautiful caterwauling, almost like where like it's haunting yet terrifying at the same time. And I kind of want you to talk a little bit about the message that you're trying to relay within this record, because as I listen to the lyrics more, I hear some, I'm not going to be politically correct here, but some really deep and terrifying shit at times. So, like I said, talk a little bit about these songs and what inspired you to write these kind of lyrics for this record.
So when it comes to lyrics, I write a lot, like I said, about emotion. So like I deal with depression and anxiety and like chronic pain, and I'm just trying to get my shit out there and try to like set like try to have people relate to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice when people like read the lyrics or whatever and be like, I can totally relate to that, and that's really nice.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, this album, like lyrically, it was a lot different than the past ones for you,
That is
right?
true. There's a couple songs where it's kind of more depressing, but there are like the few songs where it's actually like there is a light of hope in there in a sense, which there hasn't been before, which is really strange for me. But I got into like a lot into like spirituality and stuff like that. I had a lot of time to myself, and obviously to write the album, but to find myself as well. And because I was laid off of my job for 7 months, so I got into a lot of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that came out a lot for sure. Is that it's depressing, which life is depressing, but there is that light at the end, right?
Sure. Yeah, like I said, so I don't find the album so much depressing as just a reflection on what the world at hand is right now. It's kind of just painting a picture of the kind of isolationism and people kind of going back to more simple beliefs. And that's kind of the way I look at this kind of record. Like the reason why I like this record again so much is it's not overplayed, it's not overdone. There's not 1,000 things going on in all different directions. It actually ebbs and flows from beginning to end in kind of it has a build, it has a beginning, it has an end, and you can really feel it in that. So I appreciate that very much. The thing I do want to talk about is I think it's funny that you or whoever calls this an EP, because I'm an old dude, all right? I'm 48 years, all right? A 30-minute record back in my time was a full goddamn length record. Like if you got a 30-minute album, that was pretty impressive. I know a lot of bands do 50, 60, 70-minute records, but I think I want to kind of talk to you. It's quality over quantity. And that's really the way I feel. Like I would rather have 5 great songs than 5 great songs and 3 shitty songs. And like, that's what you see a lot today. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about this and see, did you purposely focus it to be an EP because you had other tracks that just didn't work and this was the right fit? Or why did you put it at such a short length for today's metal music?
Well, we always thought of this not necessarily as an EP or even an album, just more as a release, because
Gotcha.
we interchange album and EP constantly. Because yeah, it is only 5 songs, but it has some serious length, I would say.
For an EP.
For an EP.
Yeah, it's a long EP.
But
right?
again, yeah, it's a release. It's not an album. It's not an EP, or maybe it's both, but it's just a release.
We didn't really think about the time like the time length or anything like that. It just like these are the songs we have that we want together to be released together, and then it just kind of came out to whatever it was, an EP or
we kind of finalized those tracks and decided that's probably good for a release right here. Like we don't need to keep writing. Let's take these songs that we like and put them out there, as opposed to just keep writing, then you have 11 songs.
Yeah.
And then it's like a year down the road and nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
I got you. No, completely awesome. And then the next thing I kind of wanted to ask is the album is very well produced. It's very well done. You can tell you took your time with it. Was there a particular reason that you independently released it rather than try and look for a label? Or did you look for a label and then just very much like I've been making music for 25 years. Sometimes I find a label, sometimes I don't. But like, was there a conscious effort behind doing it independently versus trying to find someone to release it for you?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
We never really thought about reaching out to a label for this album. I know I have done so in the past with releases, but this one we didn't really care. We just wanted to put it out there, do a good job or best job as we can do, and just put it out there ourselves, not have to worry about labels and things like that. It was just to get it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did go through John Asher for him to help us get it out there, and we've done it in the past, and it's worth it every time. Like
Yeah, he's I guess you'd call like a music publicist or promotion based in Montreal, and we usually go through him for the past 2 releases now, and he does great work as far as getting it out there to people. So he's sort of a label.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got it. So yeah, John sent it over to me. So that's super
cool. Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So yeah, I've worked with John for years on a lot of promo stuff. So very cool. So I guess the next thing I kind of want to ask is, out of all the reviews that you've gotten so far, take mine out of the mix because I don't want to talk about mine right now. But like other reviews, has there been any ones that have either shocked you in a positive or a negative way?
Some of those reviews we've been reading there.
Yeah, there's been quite a few.
Yeah. I can't remember the whole gist of it. I think it was somewhere from over in Greece, and they particularly did not like it. They made it very adamant they did not like it.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a lot of like really contrasting feelings about it. Like they either really love it or they really don't like it. So I feel like it's an acquired taste kind of thing.
Overall, people like all the reviews have been really good.
Yeah.
But there's still that couple that stand out where it's like, do not buy this album for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then you go read the next one, and like, this is one of the best albums I've heard in a while.
Like, this is great.
So it's all subjective.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was asking, because the reviews I've read have been diametrically opposed. Like some are loving you, some are literally, you're right, like are literally just like, why was this made? So I didn't know if like any, like if any of them hit a mark, hit a point, or you are like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna use a reference point because I always do, because it's my favorite thing in the world. So Angry Metal Guy, I have a band called Until the Sky Dies. He literally gave me a 0 out of 10 and said it was one of the worst records that he ever made. And then the very next day, Terrorizer gave me a 9.5 out of 10. And I just literally laughed. I was like, did they listen to the same record? Like, I'm not even sure. Like, are you sure you listened to my? Because like the reviews were so diabolically, like they were just so different. I was just wondering, like, have you seen any reviews that you're like, did you like even listen to more than like a minute of the first track? Like, are some of the reviews just so outlandish? Like, that they maybe listened to 5 minutes of the record.
Sure, there's been a couple of
those. There's this review where they were basically saying that they could only like listen to the album once, like because they had to, but they wouldn't go back and listen to it again because they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
I kind of enjoy reading the negative reviews just to see what somebody actually has to say.
But I feel like a lot, the negative ones anyways, are mainly my vocals and the production. That's what I've found. So I found that interesting.
And it's funny because in my personal opinion, the negative reviews get way more people to listen than the positive ones. So like, it's really funny because people like, it can't be that bad. Let me listen to it. Like, like it's like, so taking a great stand. So the thing that I really kind of wanted to say is, so Alyssa, you brought me to a great spot because your vocals are a very subjective listen. Like personally, I love them and they inspire me, like the passion, and like I like that kind of style. Like, but again, if you like Cat and Tony and you like things like that, you're gonna like that because that's the kind of vocal style that goes with that. What truly inspired you for these vocals? Like, can you tell me a couple of artists or people besides Cat and Tony that really have made you start singing like you do?
Honestly, when I do vocals, like I'm influenced by different genres and different bands and stuff like that. But I find when it comes to vocals, I just try to be as different and creative as possible. And I always just try to better myself because like it's a hard thing to do. And And when I first started out, it was really terrible. And so I'm getting better every time. But yeah, anything kind of like depressive, anything with emotion. But I don't like, it's not like I think of like a specific artist when I do vocals. It's just kind of like my sound and it's what comes out. Um, Obviously, I'm influenced by different bands, but
Okay. No, cool. So let's jump into the album cover because I kind of want to talk about this for a minute. Um, if I had picked up the record and just looked at it by album cover, I may have never listened to it. And I'm gonna explain the reason why. Because it does look very different than what the music transpires. I feel like there is much more of a kind of Black Doom kind of vibe to it, where it there's so much more atmosphere, there's so much more layers, there's so much more going on, and yeah, it's a thinking man's metal band, and I'm never gonna say anything different. Like you have to sit down and listen to this. This is not the record that you can just take one song and then walk away from because you're not gonna get the full picture. Because I'm just gonna say, for instance, like. You hit me full on with track number 3, which is the Blacklight song. So like that's where like I realized I fucking love this record versus just like okay. And it was just the tone and the way that song came to me. And if I didn't get that far into the record, we may not be talking right now. Like it's something that simple. But I kind of wanted to ask you like where in your mindset does this album cover portray the entire view of the record, or was it just a piece of art that you liked? It was something that you made, that you created. Like, talk to me a little bit how the album cover came to be with the music.
Initially we tried a few different album covers. I had made little mock-ups with the logo and all that, and I made a few cool ones, but we kind of wanted to go with the direction of something that was actually sort of hand painted as opposed to like a digital image of just whatever. And then we eventually came across the album cover. It's done by a Russian artist out of St. Petersburg. First name is Darina. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her last name.
That's fine.
But we got the licensing from her to use that. So we specifically chose that based on the actual album cover and how it portrayed the music we felt anyway.
Cool.
yeah, because it's void and decay. So you got your void, which is the black hole, and then the decay would be like the skeleton guy, and he's kind of like inviting you into the black hole, which is kind of where society is going at this point.
It's a literal album cover.
Yeah,
void,
decay. It's a literal thing. Yeah.
Just the style of it, though, that really stuck out to us. We thought we'll try this.
Because we checked out her other artwork, and she's an amazing artist, and she's got some really cool stuff. And I was like, that's the one.
Yeah, no, it definitely stands out. And like I said, it's interesting because again, I feel like the artwork is awesome, but the music and the artwork are two different worlds. But again, I feel like your music is two different worlds too. Like you guys definitely have that more ethereal gothic side, but there's crushing metal and doomy heavy riffs there as well too. So I kind of wanted to ask, moving forward, is every record completely different than the last that you're doing, or is like the next record going to be a continuation of this? Like where is Within Nostalgia heading on the next release?
I feel like they're all kind of similar in their own different kind of way. Like it's got similar vibes, but I feel like every album we do, we progress into more of what we're trying to sound like, to what we're trying to portray, like our true sound. So I feel like the next one is definitely, I feel like it's getting better and better and more true to what we're.
There's a progression in the sound for sure. As like this album as opposed to the last album and going back even further. But even just the last album under Within Nostalgia band name was even a little different than Void and Decay. it was similar,
Mm-hmm.
but things definitely progressed.
Cool. If there was one song that you could take and actually make a full visualized video, like not something that you just do yourself on video cameras or whatever, but like you could actually have somebody professionally make, which song on this record would it be and why?
Ooh. For me, I would probably say City of Nameless Faces, the opening track. Because that one it's one of the ones that I wrote. I just feel it has a really good drive to it. It's more metallic, per se, than some of the other ones, maybe. But maybe that's just because I wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that song definitely stands out in a lot of different ways, because
we're very contrasting as we write, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely more of the extreme metal player versus
more techie for sure.
Not even tech.
Well, not tech. But like we're not like a tech death metal band or nothing. But like
I tend to write more extreme riffs more than anything. You tend to write weird off tilter things.
I don't even know what I write,
but they always come out cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
I got some weird timing. Like I throw him off and I do the 3/4 timing, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. It's fine. It'll work out.
There's not enough counts.
No, it works really well. So no, totally cool. So I guess I kind of want to talk a little bit about the actual. This is great because you kind of brought me into it. The tonality of the record as well too. I am a big fan of like warm bass lines and very kind of ethereal elements, especially in the drumming. Like when drumming has more of a laid back feel and more of passion than just technical blast beats to the point of just bludgeoning yourself to pointlessness. Like I really appreciate that. While you were recording this record, obviously the drums are programmed, right? Because of the way it is. Did you try and give them more of a humanistic feel, because it almost feels like they were like you purposely tried to play them like a drummer would really play them rather than just a BPM beat getting put on there. So I kind of wanted to ask you, how did you layer this record? Like, were the drums done at the end after all the melodies and harmonies were written, or did you kind of have an idea like this is the way I want the drums and we're going to lay everything over that?
Yeah, we pretty much would come up with the drums and sort of build it around there. At least the things I worked on. I'm not sure your process exactly, but
yeah, like I would write the song, and then kind of have an idea of like the riffs I would have, and then basically start with the drums after I've written my my riffs, and then kind of build it from there. So the drums would kind of be the first thing. But I find like because we used Easy Drummer, and it's a really good program to work with. But yeah, putting in all the fills, like all the grooves and all the fills and everything, it's a lot of work. It took months to do all of that.
That's probably what gave it that humanized kind of feeling a bit. Because
you
can actually, it gives you the ability to go in there and edit every individual hit. So it's not the same hit every time. Sometimes a little lighter or heavier, sometimes a little lighter, and the only thing is it's on time.
Yeah.
Our drummer's never off time.
Unlike other drummers.
So very cool. So you were talking again about the area that you're from. It's not a big mecca for this kind of music at all. So what inspired you to make music if there's not a lot of musicians in that area? Like what drove you to be able to do this? Especially if you knew at the end of the day it may just be the two of you doing this because you really can't find like-minded people.
Well, it's funny because I actually started doing this myself, like as nostalgia, not within nostalgia. This was like 6 years ago, I guess. It was
2013, I think.
2013, I started it by myself. So I would do just like really shitty demo recordings by myself. I would record the drums myself and play the drums and record everything myself. And so obviously it didn't sound great. And then yeah, so I couldn't find any members down there. I was in Burlington. There's not much metal in Burlington either, so I find it's kind of like a richer kind of.
It's more of a punk. If anything, it's more of a punk.
There's more
city.
punk for sure, and Hamilton too, right?
Well, same here.
Yeah, same here for sure. So I never actually had like members until I moved here. So it was nice to be able to get other people on board and be into it as well.
Cool.
I do forget the original question though, so I just kind of trailed off.
Yeah, so the whole point of it was I was just trying to see like what made the two of you kind of gel together to be able to make music where others didn't have that same mentality, because it kind of seems like especially with this record that I've heard, you two vibe off of each other a lot. Like you can hear it. And the more I talk to you, I can tell, okay, who wrote this part versus who wrote this part, because just by talking to you, that makes a lot of sense. But when you put it together, it makes a really great song. But yeah, like at the end of the day, what makes the two of you collaborate really well together?
Like-mindedness.
Yeah,
sure.
That's probably the biggest thing. We're very like-minded. We definitely can vibe off each other's feeling, especially with music. Again, very, very like-minded in our thoughts and our ideas of what we want to play as music and how we should go about it.
Yeah, I feel like the music is one thing, but because like we're together and we talk about a lot of stuff, and like that comes with the music. So like just hanging out together and being on the same level, like the same page.
It'd be like any other band. If you spend enough time with your band, you tend to vibe off each other. And if you don't, then your music might suffer from that.
Yeah.
But we've never really had a disagreement musically. Not really.
No.
You've thrown me some challenges with weird timings, but
yeah, you've given me some challenges though too. So
we challenge each other too, which is also important.
Yeah. It's important to have that.
Awesome. So I kind of want to dig into the darker side of this kind of world, and being it's an underground band, and it's basically word of mouth and the help of PR folks. What's your thoughts on like social media and this underground extreme music? Because I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of fucking bedroom bands and there's a lot of trolls out there that really just like, if you are not part of their scene or their group, they talk shit even if they don't know who you are. So I was just wondering, like, do you feel that this is a help, a hindrance? Do you feel like there's a nurturing underground scene under all of this? So.
Yeah, I would probably say there is to a degree in reference to like social media. It's great for promotion and things like that. But like I don't engage really in social media all that much aside from like music. So I don't find the seedy underbelly as often. I do come across it, but I don't engage with it. It's not part of what I do or any reason why I make music or don't. I disregard it.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of are in our own little bubble. We're both kind of antisocial people, and it has its pros and cons, but
yeah,
absolutely.
Especially with extreme, especially like black metal or extreme metal. There's always those cringe people that just don't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, they don't have to like us.
No, so I don't know them and I don't care.
Yeah.
Cool. No, and I appreciate that. So, have you had any artists or musicians that have listened to the record kind of give you feedback that you either were shocked to hear or that you were pleasantly surprised by? Was there any bands that you like really liked that may have heard it or something and gave you feedback? I just always love to hear like when other bands talk about other bands' music. It's been out a little bit of time now, so you can have a group of people listening to it. So I was just kind of wondering.
Well, we've heard some like definitely positive feedback from bands like in bigger cities like Toronto, like down south, that we've either known or played shows with, and they've either posted or reshared it, or just it gave us a nice comment where it's like, oh wow, like that band I saw 15 years ago that blew my mind, listened to my album and actually liked it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, who was it? Fuck the Facts or?
Yeah, I think one of the guys from Fuck the Facts, based in I think like Gatineau, really liked it. Hexenclad, bigger band from Toronto.
Mhm.
Athroth Incarnate, another band from Toronto, kind of up and coming, but they seem to dig it. We're friends with those guys, so
Mhm.
Chrome Waves to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That-
played a show with Chrome Waves a couple years back.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually have a really weird kind of relationship with Chrome Waves because I was in a band with some band members he was in with, and one of those guys and I are really good friends. So yeah, like Jeff and Chrome Waves and I are kind of we have this like weird incestuous like riding alongside of each other's musical careers. So it's like that's cool. But um, speaking of Chrome Waves, you definitely have a lot in common with them. And the reason why I would say that is here's the I kind of want to take this into a different turn. And I kind of want to ask you about different musical styles that you like. Because outside of the goth and the metal side, I do hear a lot of dark wave elements in your music. And I do hear, yeah, and I do hear a lot of, now this may offend. I'm not trying to offend, but I do hear a lot of dark pop elements in your music as well too. Um, and I'm talking more along the lines of like Chelsea Wolfe or
I love Chelsea Wolfe.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, or like things along those lines. Uh, do you like outside of the metal world? You laughed when I said the word dark wave, so I almost think you know what I mean by this. Like it was
I love dark wave. Or
okay.
synthwave, dark wave,
Yeah.
old 80s horror movie music.
Yep. And that's where I was going with it is there's a record label down here in Arizona called Project Records. And literally there's a couple of bands on there. If they metalize their music, I almost feel like they would be very similar to what you do. Because of the synth and the dark wave elements that I do hear. Now, Kai, I could tell that you were influenced by this, but Alyssa, were you influenced by this at all? Or because you actually vocally and musically, I think, have much more of this than you think you do.
That's weird because I honestly don't listen to a lot. Like I think the closest thing might be some like industrial and stuff like that. Like I really like Velvet Acid Christ and like Cyclone 9 and stuff like that. But like just anything weird. But as far as like dark wave and stuff, like I
Subconsciously.
subconsciously, I don't know.
I like to throw on some like dark wave or even vapor wave.
Yeah,
Have my morning coffee.
I secretly love it.
You just don't know it.
I don't know.
Cool. I was just wondering because the elements are there, and it might all just be Kai's. Like I completely understand that, and he may be bringing it into the group, and you're just layering it on top of it. But there's so many other elements. So if you could both, like, as we can continue on this a bit, talk about the other kinds of music outside of metal and goth that you really like that inspire you to create.
So I'm into a lot of like post rock stuff. I like a lot of like instrumental post rock, um, like Russian Circles and wow, I can't think of it. And like Pelican and stuff like that. But anything I find all the post rock that I listen to is it's all instrumental, which
Okay.
is interesting. Um, but it's weird because like I'll go from listening to that and I listen to some rap and I literally like I'll listen to country and like I said like the industrial stuff. Um yeah, basically anything.
Yeah, you're pretty open, right?
Pretty open.
Yeah.
I listen like I was my very first band was a garage rock band and I love garage rock. Like anything like 60s garage and stuff like that.
Nice.
Anything really.
Cool.
Yeah, I aside from the whole gothic thing, I actually listen to a lot of 90s alternative music. Anything that has that heavier edge, but somehow still really dark.
Gotcha.
Catchy still. Good riffs. Good riffs. Not necessarily a lot of atmosphere, but just good riffs. But
Cool.
heavy.
It's gotta be heavy.
All right, cool. Um, so is there anything that within nostalgia wouldn't write or record? Is there something that like you would stay away from? And the reason why I ask this is because I hear so many layers in it. I wonder if there's something that like, you start writing it and you're like, this, if we're gonna do this, it needs to be another project. Like we can't do this.
There's been a couple riffs or song ideas we've tossed around where they were good, but maybe it didn't necessarily fit with what we're doing. It became too black metal. Like this is a really good riff, but it just doesn't work for what we're doing.
But you'd have to start a whole new black metal project for it.
Yeah, we're not playing Dark Funeral riffs. As good as
Yeah.
Cool. All right. No, I was just wondering. So if someone was to listen to this record and they have never heard your band before, and you could give them 5 words to describe your record, what 5 words would you give it right before the very first song plays?
Oh, that's a tough one.
We've had this question before.
I'm only allowed 5 words. Ooh.
5.
Only 5. Haunting.
That's one.
Haunting, as you said, Ethereal is probably another one. That
Okay.
probably goes with haunting, though. I don't know.
That's fine. Another word.
Deep tends to be
Okay.
deep.
All right, you got 2 more. Make it happen.
I was gonna say thought-provoking, but that's 2
Yeah,
words.
thought-provoking. Yeah,
You could put the dash in there and make it 1 word.
It's the same as deep, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll take it. Give me 1 more. That's fine. Thought-provoking 1 word.
I was gonna say creepy, but that almost goes with haunting.
I'd say unique.
Yeah, unique.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Hey, that's good. That's 5 good words that fits the music. So
That's a tough one.
No, we did good.
you did fine. You did fine. So I'm gonna start wrapping this up now. Just so you know, I do ask one question in every interview, and I kind of love to get the responses. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's 2 people. Sometimes I have interviews where there's 5 band members, and it's really unique when you get one of those moments. But if you could have any one artist, it doesn't matter if they're living, dead, I don't care, that they would take this record, re-record it, and make it their own, who would you want it to be and why?
That's a really good question.
Wow. That's an interesting question.
Do you want to go first on that one? You want me to go?
You can go.
Okay, if I really had to pick, and I don't know how it would come out in the end, honestly, but I would probably try to go with Typo Negative. Just to see what would come out of that, because they're known for their covers where they just go completely left field of the original version and make it their own. So I'm sure they could have did something with the album.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with Enslaved because they are my favorite band. And it would be really interesting to see.
More prog influence there.
Yeah, prog within nostalgia.
It would be pretty. It'd be pretty heavy prog if Enslaved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and you probably have a lot of pagan folks elements going on too, which would be really cool. But that's very cool about the Typo Negatives thing. So I grew up in the New York area, so I know those guys really well. I actually did stuff for Roadrunner Records, the label they were on for years. So when you say that, it's really funny because like I could literally see those guys working on this record and them going completely insane trying to make it their own, because that's who they are. So literally, they were the best of friends that couldn't write together. Like literally could not write. They had to write everything separately and bring it in, or there would be huge fights. So you make
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
so you make me completely chuckle. Like I just could see them like, no, it's got to be like this. No, it's got to be like this. That's literally what happened while they make this record.
Oh yeah.
Cool, cool. So I am gonna leave it with this and kind of give you your step stool, and you can kind of close it out with whatever you want to talk about. How to get the record, what's going on in the future, if you're going to play live anytime in the future, if you're going to do anything different. Like, this is your forum. Take the next couple minutes, talk about Within Nostalgia, and as I always joke at the end of it, let my hundreds of viewers like totally understand who you are.
First thing I'd probably like to mention is we are planning a live stream for the album. Like, we're gonna play it. We're just waiting on sort of a confirmation date. Things keep getting pushed back due to pandemic crap.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to be happening. I can't say when, but a live playthrough of the album with us.
And a couple old songs.
And a couple old songs probably going to end up playing as well, just to fill out some time.
Yeah.
So where to find the music?
Yeah, you can find the album on Bandcamp, and you can buy a digital copy for $5.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
For $5, and we're getting physical copies soon, so it'd be nice to get those. Still waiting. I think the pandemic is prolonging everything, so hopefully soon we can have those in our hands. And we have Facebook, Instagram, we got Twitter.
All your basic social platforms. You can find us all on there, but yeah, physical copies of Void and Decay are coming soon, hopefully. Digital on Bandcamp for $5. If anyone does see this that doesn't know who we are, please check out our Facebook or Instagram. There's a lot of info there. Everything we post as far as music videos, news, all that is usually through our Facebook. So anything you want is right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Again, thank you very much for this. Really do appreciate it. I will make sure there's links to your Bandcamp and your Facebook pages. Typically, I get about 300 or so people that watch most videos. So let's hope some of them buy it and really dig it and get into it as well. I have gotten some really good feedback on the record from people that have saw the review. So I hope that continues on as well. If you ever do come out and tour, I will be there for sure. I will come out and hang out. But again, thank you for your time very much. And this is Clint from the Doorway 2, hanging out Within Nostalgia. You guys have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Good night.